All right, my friends, take a deep breath here because I know that you are VPN'd out. I know you're tired of detail after detail about IPsec. But what we are going to do here is talk just for a few minutes about some SSL VPNs and kind of compare them to IPsec just a little bit. Because the SSL VPNs, they're really solid, as are obviously the IPsec VPNs. But wow, are SSL VPNs easier to work with, especially on the end user side. And when end users are happy, that means they're not having connection issues and tech issues at 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday and all weekend. And that means that you and I, as the network admins, are very happy. Again, just going to give you a few details about a couple of SSL VPN choices we have. Then we're going to do kind of a lab. I want to do a walkthrough using a program we've already seen. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get there, and show you how to configure each one of these VPN types. But it's nothing like IPsec. It's just bang, 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 and you're done. So I'm just telling you that because I just want you to take a deep breath and hang in there. We're almost done with VPNs, but there's some important info here. Now, IPsec security overall is stronger than an SSL VPN. But SSL VPNs are really quite good. And with a clientless connection, which is going to be one of our two choices in our wizard coming up, anyone with a web browser can attempt to connect via port 443. It's a good port to know. And that's both good and bad. And by that's both good and bad, I mean the web browser, of course, because that means that anybody with a web browser has a potential weapon to infiltrate your network with. Now, the best part about all of this is that when our users are using their SSL VPNs, the only real trouble spot you have with the connectionless one is making sure that they're attempting to connect to the right IP address and the right subdirectory. We'll see that in the video, the next video, because I have had people with VPNs like, I just couldn't connect with this. And of course, they were using TMZ.com or something like that, something that was cached in their URL list. Like, no, you have to pick the right one, otherwise we can't get you there. Now, there is another way to use SSL VPNs, and that's with an Cisco's AnyConnect client, I should say. Now, as soon as you hear clients like, oh, and download, and the end user's got to download a client, it's very simple, and I mean that. The end user downloads that client. The big difference between the clientless and the AnyConnect client is that with clientless connections, you're navigating the network through the web browser, and you're only going to see a few things. It's not like absolutely being on the corporate network, but being connected through the AnyConnect client is like being right on the network. So it's a better choice for people who need full access to the network. But if you have users who need a VPN and just hit one or two things, which you can name then the clientless connection may be the way to go for you. I want to clear one thing up here that I've seen in one or two Cisco docs, not many of them, but some of them mention you have 3 SSL VPNs that you can configure in the wizards we're about to use in the next video. And they call this one clientless SSL VPN with plugins. And if that sounds like, well, I think we already talked about clientless VPN, we did. When you look at their major documents for clientless SSL VPN, you can see here in Google I did a search even with that, with plugins, port forwarding, and really didn't have any matches. So if we go ahead and just go to the clientless SSL VPN page on Cisco's website, this is clientless VPNs with plugins. They've got some information in here about that. And again, you certainly do not have to know every single thing. You'll notice the port forwarding here, and that's what we're talking about. And you'll see it mentions that what it does, it lets users access TP-based apps over a clientless SSL VPN connection. But again, that's beyond the scope of the CCNA security exam. But I want you to know that if you see any documents referring to this clientless SSL VPN with plugins or 3 different kinds of SSLs that you can configure with the wizard we're about to use, there are really just 2. It's going to be clientless and client full, if you will, using the Cisco AnyConnect client. That is really about it. See, I told you it was going to be a pretty painless video. That's really it with the major differences here and the 2 different kind of clients. What we're going to do next is head to the next video. And in that one, I'm going to walk you through both wizards so you can see the information that you'll be expected to have for either one of them and what the one big difference is. So I will see you there.